streets of Zimbabwe. They were on the streets of Zimbabwe on the 5th of June. They were on the streets of Zimbabwe on the 11th of July. And I have no doubt in my mind that they will be on the streets again before the election on the 30th of July. What Zimbabwe wants is a clean, a free, legitimate election. And regrettably, that is not being allowed. For instance, there is no full disclosure on the ballot paper. The Zimbabwe Election Management Committee is refusing to disclose where this ballot paper is coming from, its chemical composition, its traceability. And that, of course, is creating challenges on its own. For instance, they are refusing to disclose fully the biometric voters roll, the people that are there, the numbers. And we know from work that has been done by scientists and researchers that there are hundreds of dead people there. There are hundreds of people that are over 140 years. So the whole thing is shambolic. And those are two critical demands which are red lines, the ballot paper and the biometric voters roll. In the long term, however, if they want to steal this election, I think the elders will be able to say this election is not legitimate, is not credible. And Emmerson Mnangagwa or whoever wants to steal this election cannot run this country without legitimacy and without the international community and as Zimbabweans accepting the election result as a legitimate and credible result. Remember, there are thousands of people that are coming to our rallies. There are thousands of people that are attending Nelson Chamisa's rallies. So the credibility gap between a forged outcome and what people expect will create instability and civil unrest in this country, and no one wants that.
Now, Mr. Biti, you just touched on the fact that the chairperson of ZEC is, you mentioned the fact that she's arrogant and has a sort of demeanor about her with regards to the elections. Now, this week, just speaking of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, she was quoted in media circles as saying that the electoral body's website was hacked and crucial information was cloned. Is this not going to compromise the much-awaited election at the end of the month? And just going back to the issues that you touched on, the fact that Chamisa has been holding massive rallies, and in terms of numbers, people in the streets are coming out in numbers. Do you think that this will affect the election going forward on the 30th of July? Well,
firstly, we don't believe that the Zimbabwe Election Commission database has been hacked. The chairperson and ZEC itself are creating a justification, because what they've done is they've allowed ZANU-PF and Emmerson Mnangagwa to have access to that database. And Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF have been abusing that database by sending out text messages and other campaign messages to the electorate. Yet the opposition, we in the opposition, have been denied that database. So to allay and to defend themselves against the allegations of capture, they've invented this fiction of the database being hacked. So we don't trust the Zimbabwe Election Commission. We don't like the Zimbabwe Election Commission. We do not believe that it has got the competency, the desire and the ability to run a free and fair election in Zimbabwe. It cannot. As far as the crowds that are coming to the rallies of the opposition, the rallies of the MDC alliance, it is quite clear that there's a revolution in Zimbabwe. It is quite clear that winds of change are blowing in Zimbabwe. 69% of Zimbabweans are below the age of 35. They want a young leader. Of the 5.4 million people that registered to vote, 81% of them are between the ages of 18 and 51. That means they're young people. So there's a revolution there. There's an intergenerational consensus that requires change, that requires the finishing of the unfinished business of the liberation struggle. People realize that removing Mugabe was removing the dictator, but not the dictatorship. People want to finish what they started on the 18th of November, 2018. So this election is about ending poverty.
Now, Mr. Biti, very quickly, just in wrapping up, you know, in terms of the election going ahead on the 30th of July, you've got the elders in the country and obviously other international observers to ensure that there's free and fair elections in Zimbabwe taking place on the 30th of July. If you feel, as the opposition and as the opposition leadership in the country, why go ahead with an election that you feel is not going to be free and fair?
We have made it very clear that there will not be an election if our conditions are not met. That we have made it very clear. And starting next week, we're going to embark on vigils. There will be people, there will be hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of Harare. So it's a different ballgame. We are prepared to die for this cause. We are prepared to die for the cause of change. And there's no revolutionary without martyrs. We are prepared to be the martyrs of the revolution for Zimbabwe. And because we love our country, and we will lead from the front, not from the back.
Mr. Biti, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was constitutional lawyer and Zimbabwe's former finance minister, Mr. Tendai Biti, speaking to us via Skype. Time now for a quick break. More news on the globe.